The detection. The Galactic Empire was proud of its order. For thousands of years, no ship had entered Imperial space without clearance. Every route was watched. Every jump gate was guarded. The Imperial fleet scanned the stars day and night, certain that nothing could surprise them. On a quiet shift deep inside a border watch station, a young sensor officer noticed something strange. At first, he thought it was a mistake. The scanner showed a blip, a moving shadow far beyond the patrol line. The shadow grew brighter with each scan, not fading like normal interference. He called his superior. The commander stepped forward, frowning. "Run it again." The scan repeated. The blip was still there. This time the system tried to identify it. A string of unknown codes flashed on the screen. The computer searched through the entire database of the Empire. Every known ally, every rival species, every registered trade vessel. No match. The commander's face hardened. "Contact Central Command. Unknown vessel detected. No clearance, no records." Across the Empire's fleet channel, the alert spread quickly. Admirals and captains who usually ignored border reports suddenly listened carefully. The word unregistered had weight. It meant someone dared to fly into Imperial space without permission. That was not just strange, it was dangerous. Within minutes, multiple cruisers adjusted their course. Patrol groups were redirected. The unknown ship was moving closer. From the station's viewport, stars burned cold and steady. Then at the edge of the void, something massive slid into sensor range. It was not sleek like Imperial designs. It was not graceful like the ships of the Varn Dominion or the insect-like car vessels. This one was sharp, brutal, built like a weapon first, a ship second, and it carried human markings. The crew stared at the images in disbelief. Humans, the weak colonists, the soft traders who begged the Empire for protection. Humans had mining ships, cargo haulers, maybe a few retrofitted gunboats for pirates. But this was no hauler. This was a warship. "Impossible," whispered one officer. "Humans don't build warships." But the evidence was clear. The hull was plated with heavy armor. Weapon ports dotted the sides. Power signatures were off the charts, stronger than any human design ever recorded. The station commander opened a secure channel. His message was short, urgent, and heavy with fear. "To High Command, unregistered human warship detected. No clearance, no warning, requesting immediate orders." High above the border, in a grand fleet headquarters orbiting a red sun, Admiral Saraxis read the report. At first he laughed. He thought it was a border mistake, a false alarm. But then he saw the raw scans. The numbers did not lie. Saraxis's laughter faded. He stood, cloak trailing behind him, and gave the order. "Redirect the nearest battle. Group, we will see what this human toy is made of." Back at the station, fear turned into nervous chatter. The crew whispered to each other. Some believed it was just a stolen alien ship, painted with human symbols to confuse the Empire. Others thought it was a desperate human experiment, a single prototype doomed to fail. But as the ship drew closer, none of those excuses made sense. The warship did not broadcast identification codes. It did not request landing rights. It did not respond to hails. It moved in silence like a predator crossing into another pack's territory, and every second it was getting closer to Imperial space stations, closer to civilian trade routes. The first direct image came through, projected in the command room. The crew froze. The warship was massive, larger than an Imperial destroyer. Its hull was dark, almost black, with faint silver lines running like scars. The ship carried no visible flag of the Empire, no markings of peace. Just one word, painted in bold white letters across its side. Vanguard. The commander whispered. They named it. Every officer understood what that meant. A ship with a name was not an accident. It was not a stolen experiment. It was the beginning of something larger. In orbit above the red sun, Admiral Saraxis gathered his officers. Humans were never capable of this, so tell me, how did they hide it from us? Who gave them the knowledge? No one answered. The silence was heavy. Back at the border station, alarms rang again. The warship had changed speed. It was no longer drifting. It was heading directly toward the Imperial fleet. "Admiral, it's not slowing down," cried an ensign. The commander's hands shook as he gave the order. "Send another hail. Warn them again." The message went out. No response. The ship continued forward, its engines burning with power far beyond human standards. The station trembled under the weight of fear. The Empire had faced many enemies before, but none of them appeared out of nowhere. None of them came without warning. None of them carried the quiet, terrifying confidence of this unregistered human warship. As the shadow of the vessel loomed closer, the commander finally spoke the words no one wanted to hear. "This is not a mistake. This is not a game. The Empire is facing something new." And across the galaxy, whispers began to spread. A human warship has entered Imperial space. Without permission, the old balance of power was about to break. The first contact, the unregistered human warship moved like a ghost across the stars. It gave no signals, no requests, no greetings, only silence. In the Empire, silence was not peace. Silence was defiance. The Imperial fleet gathered quickly. 6 cruisers, polished and deadly, formed a wall in front of the intruder. Their silver hulls reflected the light of the nearby sun. Weapons were primed, shields charged, engines ready to fire in any direction. Admiral Syraxis watched from the bridge of his flagship, Imperial Wrath. His voice was calm, but his eyes burned with pride. "Humans are careless children. They think a single ship can intimidate us. Today they will learn their place." The fleet's communication officer opened the first channel. His voice echoed across the void. "Unknown vessel, you are entering restricted Imperial space. Identify yourself immediately. Transmit clearance codes. Failure to comply will result in destruction." The words were carried on beams of light and radio. They reached the strange human ship in seconds. No reply. The officer tried again, louder, sharper. "Unregistered vessel. Respond now. You are in violation of Imperial law." Again, no reply. The bridge grew tense. Officers glanced at each other. Ships always answered. Even smugglers and pirates sent curses or false codes. But this, nothing. On the view screen, the warship loomed closer. Its dark hull seemed to swallow the stars. No banners, no allies, no escort. Just one ship. The communication officer's voice shook. "Admiral, they ignore us." Syraxis's jaw tightened. He leaned forward, voice cold. "Then we remind them who rules the galaxy." The first warning shot came from an Imperial cruiser. A beam of green energy, designed not to kill, but to warn. It flared across the void and passed close to the intruders. Hull, the human ship, did not flinch. It did not alter course. The bridge of Imperial wrath fell silent. The Admiral hissed, "Do they mock us?" Another cruiser fired, this time a real strike aimed at the intruders' shields. The bolt struck the Vanguard's armor, yet nothing happened. No flare, no shimmer, no impact. The ship absorbed the attack like a stone absorbs rain. Gasps spread through the command deck. "Impossible," whispered one officer. "Not even Dominion battleships can do that." Syraxis slammed his fist against the command chair. His pride turned to fury. "Humans! Insolent, weak humans dare to insult the Empire?" Still, the Vanguard said nothing. No voice, no code, no gesture of peace. Only silence. But then, its lights changed. Red lines pulsed along its hull, glowing, like veins of fire. The scanners screamed with new readings. Power levels spiked, climbing past all known scales. The crew of the Imperial Wrath stared in horror. They are charging weapons. The fleet tensed. Cruisers spread into defensive formation. Shields brightened, weapons locked, engines burned. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. Then, the human warship fired. Not at the fleet, not at the flagship. It fired at an asteroid drifting nearby. The beam was thin, bright white, and silent. It cut across space like a blade. The asteroid, a mountain of rock half a kilometer wide, shattered into dust in one instant. No explosion, no debris, just powder floating in the void. Every Imperial officer froze. Mouths hung open. Eyes widened. One whisper filled the bridge. What was that? For the first time in centuries, the Imperial fleet felt something new. Not anger, not pride, fear. The power of that single beam was greater than anything the Empire had seen. Entire fleets could not do what one strike had just done, and still the vanguard did not fire at them. It remained steady, silent, as if waiting. In the strategy chamber, voices clashed. "It's a bluff," one captain shouted. "Humans cannot build such weapons. That must be stolen," argued another. "No," whispered the science officer. "That energy signature is not stolen. It is unique." Admiral Syraxis stood motionless. His pride fought with reason. If he backed down, the Empire would look weak. If he attacked, he risked something far worse. The communication officer tried again, voice trembling. "Unregistered, human vessel. Explain yourself. Why do you trespass? Why do you refuse orders?" For a long moment there was nothing. Just silence. Then a sound. The bridge speakers hissed, static at first, then a calm human voice, deep and steady. "This is UNS Vanguard. We are not here to fight. But if you push us, we will respond." The bridge froze. Every officer turned to the admiral. Even Syraxis himself seemed shocked. Humans were not supposed to speak with such calm strength. Their ships were not supposed to stand against Imperial fleets. The admiral forced himself to smirk, hiding his fear. Respond? A single ship? You dare threaten the Empire? But deep in his heart, he knew. That demonstration was not a threat. It was a message. The humans had come prepared. Across the fleet, whispers began among the crews. Fear spread faster than orders. For the first time, the question no one dared to speak became heavy in every heart. If this is only one ship, how many more do the humans hide? The silence of space pressed tighter. The fleet held its ground, but the balance of power had shifted. The first contact was not just a meeting, it was a warning. The Empire thought humans were weak. Now, doubt began to grow. The demonstration. The warship called Vanguard floated in silence after its first words. The Imperial fleet did not move. The admirals did not speak. For a moment, it felt like even the stars had stopped shining. Then, the silence broke. On the bridge of the Imperial Wrath, Admiral Syraxis's voice thundered. "Do you hear them? They dare to threaten us." His fists slammed against the command rail. Humans, farmers and traders, weaklings who begged for protection. But his words could not erase the image of the asteroid turning to dust. His officers kept their eyes low. None dared to agree. None dared to argue. The Vanguard glided forward, its massive frame passing between the cruisers like a wolf walking through sheep. It did not fire again. It simply moved as if it had nothing to fear. That arrogance burned Syraxis's pride. "Enough. Prepare a strike group. I want their shields tested. Show me their weakness." 3 Imperial heavy cruisers broke formation. They moved into attack positions around the intruder. Their silver hulls glittered against the void as power charged through their cannons. On the Vanguard, no one answered. No movement, no signal. Just silence. Then, the order came. "Fire!" The 3 cruisers unleashed their weapons. Green beams cut across the void. Missiles streaked through the dark. Explosions of energy wrapped around the human warship like a storm. The bridge of the Imperial Wrath lit with flashes of impact. Officers leaned forward, waiting for the scans. Waiting to see cracks, sparks, smoke. But the storm faded, and the Vanguard remained untouched. Not a scratch, not even a ripple in its shields. Gasps filled the command deck. The science officer stared at the readings in disbelief. Our weapons, they have no effect. Admiral Syraxis's face went pale for the first time. He forced his voice steady. Then push harder. Fire again. The cruisers obeyed. They poured energy into their guns, unleashing everything their reactors could handle. The void lit like a second sun, and still, the Vanguard drifted forward, calm and silent, its hull glowing faintly with red lines of power. Then at last, the human ship moved, its weapons charged, not bright, not chaotic, but focused. A hum echoed through the scanners, sharp and clean. The Vanguard fired 3 beams, not at the engines, not at the bridges. Each beam struck perfectly at the cruiser's weapons arrays. In one instant, all 3 cruisers went dark, weapons offline, shields flickering, engines still alive but powerless to fight. The Imperial crews stared at their dead systems in shock. Their ships had been disabled with surgical precision. Not destroyed, not killed, just silenced. Admiral Syraxis's voice broke into a roar. They hold back. He was right. If the Vanguard had aimed at their reactors, those cruisers would now be drifting wrecks. Thousands of Imperial lives would have been gone. But instead, the humans had shown mercy, or worse, control. The Admiral's pride collapsed into something he had not felt since his youth. Doubt. On the human ship, the voice returned, calm, steady, unshaken. Imperial fleet, we will not repeat ourselves, do not engage again. Every word carried weight, not shouted, not angry, just final. The bridge of the Imperial wrath fell into heavy silence. Officers exchanged nervous glances. Fear had spread like fire through dry grass. One junior officer whispered the thought in every mind. If one ship can do this, how many more are there? In the shadowed corners of the Empire's command, new doubts grew. The humans had been underestimated for centuries. Their colonies were scattered, their fleets were small, their people were ignored. Yet now, standing before the might of the Empire, they revealed a weapon no one believed they could build. A weapon that could disable Imperial warships with surgical strikes. A weapon that could turn asteroids into dust. And a captain who spoke as if he feared nothing. Admiral Syraxis gritted his teeth. His empire was watching. His officers were watching. If he retreated now, history would remember him as the man who bowed to humans. But if he attacked again, would the Empire lose more than pride? The tension crushed the air on the bridge. Every officer held their breath, waiting for his command. Then, something unexpected happened. The Vanguard slowed. Its engines dimmed. It turned, not toward the fleet, but toward open space beyond the border. It was leaving. No war, no final blow, no demand. Just a quiet exit. The Admiral's pride screamed to give chase, to attack, to crush the intruder before it escaped. But the silence of his crew told him everything. They were afraid. They had seen the truth. If they attacked again, the Empire might lose ships it could not replace. The fleet held position. The Vanguard drifted past them like a shadow, its glowing hull fading into the distance. And as it vanished into the stars, one thought remained in every Imperial heart. Humans were never weak. They were only waiting. Far away, in the hidden halls of power, news spread like wildfire. Reports filled with fear and disbelief. Words carried across the galaxy. Unregistered human warship detected. Imperial fleet powerless. The Empire has been warned. That day was remembered not as a battle, but as something far worse. A demonstration. And it was only the beginning. The Empire's pride. The galaxy was still whispering about the human ship when Admiral Syraxis entered the Grand Council chamber. The chamber floated in orbit above the capital world, its walls made of glass and metal, showing the stars beyond. Here, the Empire's greatest leaders gathered, senators, admirals, and royal envoys. They had all heard the same report. One ship. One human warship that had humiliated the fleet, and they wanted answers. The council floor erupted with noise. Voices shouted over one another, sharp and angry. "A single warship cannot threaten the Empire," one senator barked. "It already has," another shouted back. "Humans are farmers, miners, beggars. This is a trick." Trick or not, our ships were powerless. The Emperor's throne stood empty. He rarely appeared in such meetings. Instead, his silver-faced envoy raised a hand, calling for silence. "Admiral Syraxis," the envoy said, his voice cold and metallic. "You face the intruder. Explain to this council what happened." Syraxis stood tall. His cloak was heavy, but his pride was heavier. He would not admit weakness, not in front of rivals who waited for any mistake. "The humans have built a ship, yes, but it is only one," he said. His voice echoed across the chamber. "They hid it, trained with it, and caught us by surprise. That is all. 3 of our cruisers were disabled, not destroyed. This proves the humans fear us. They dared not finish their strike." A murmur spread through the chamber. Some nodded. Others narrowed their eyes. One senator, a sharp-eyed elder, leaned forward. "Admiral, you call this weakness? You had 6 cruisers, and still the humans walked free. The Empire was shamed. And now the galaxy whispers that humans are stronger than us." Syraxis's jaw tightened. "They wanted us to think that. They left alive to spread fear. It is nothing but theater." The debate ignited again. Voices rose. "Perhaps humans have more ships hidden. Then we must find them. No, we must crush their colonies before they spread further. War over one ship? That is madness." The chamber became chaos. Fear and pride twisted together, pulling senators in different directions. Finally, the envoy raised his hand again. Silence fell. "The Emperor has commanded this council to decide one thing," the envoy said. "How shall we respond?" Syraxis saw his chance. He stepped forward, his cloak sweeping the floor. "My fleet will answer," he declared. "Give me authority, and I will take 10 cruisers. I will track this vanguard, destroy it before the humans build another. I will remind them of their place." His words carried strength. For centuries, the Empire had ruled by fear, not mercy. To allow humans to walk free would invite rebellion in every corner of space. Several senators nodded. "Yes, crush them before they rise." But others hesitated. One senator, a calm woman from the outer colonies, spoke softly but firmly. "You saw what it did, Syraxis. What if it is not the only one? What if there are more ships waiting? We could lose far more than pride," another senator added. "What if the humans are not enemies at all? What if they only wanted to warn us? Destroying them may spark a war we cannot win." The word "cannot win" echoed like poison. No one in the Empire dared to say such things aloud. And yet, here it was, spoken in front of the Grand Council. Admiral Syraxis's pride burned. He slammed his fist against his chest plate. "The Empire has never lost. Do not tremble at shadows. Give me the order, and I will return with proof. Humans will kneel." But deep in his heart, even Syraxis felt the truth. He had seen the asteroid shatter. He had watched his cruisers disabled in seconds. And though he spoke of victory, a small seed of doubt had taken root. The envoy studied the chamber. He was the Emperor's voice, and his silver mask betrayed no emotion. "The Emperor has heard all sides," he said at last. "We will not yet declare war, but neither will we ignore this insult." He turned toward Syraxis. "You will take a fleet. You will hunt the human vessel. You will test it again. If they are weak, you will destroy them. If they are strong..." The envoy paused, his metallic voice dropping lower. "Then you will return alive. And we will prepare." The chamber buzzed with unease. Senators whispered, officers frowned, and the weight of the decision sank into every mind. For the first time in centuries, the Empire was not united by pride. It was divided by fear. That night, in the private halls of power, rumors spread faster than official orders. Some said the humans had a hidden fleet. Others said the vanguard was only the beginning of a new empire rising in secret. Some even whispered that the humans had allies beyond the stars, teaching them forbidden technology. Whatever the truth, one fact was clear. The empire had been challenged. On the balcony of his flagship, Syraxis looked out at the stars. His pride still burned, but beneath it the seed of doubt grew larger. He clenched his fist. Humans, you think one ship can shame us? You will learn what it means to face the Empire. But even as he spoke, a shadow of fear lingered in his eyes. Because deep down, he knew. The next time they met the vanguard, pride alone would not be enough. The human message, the hunt for the vanguard, stretched across weeks. 10 Imperial cruisers moved like predators through the void, scanning every star, every shadow. They searched asteroids, patrol lanes, and old mining stations. But the human warship always seemed one step ahead. Admiral Syraxis sat in his command chair, his patience burning away. They taunt us, he growled. They want us to chase. His officers said nothing. They too remembered the demonstration. They had seen how quickly the vanguard had disabled Imperial cruisers. Pride demanded revenge, but fear whispered caution. Then one night cycle, the silence broke. A signal cut across all Imperial frequencies. It was clear, strong, and unmistakably human. "This is UNS Vanguard," the voice said. "Calm, steady. We will speak, and you will listen." The bridge of the Imperial wrath fell silent. The crew froze at their stations. Syraxis's jaw clenched. He motioned for the message to continue. "You call yourselves rulers," the voice said. "You claim to guard this galaxy, yet you enslave weaker races, tax colonies until they starve, and call it order." The officers shifted uncomfortably. Few ever dared speak such words aloud. "Humans will not bow to you," the voice continued. "We will not ask permission to exist. We will not request clearance to breathe." The bridge lights flickered as the message spread across every ship. Crews everywhere listened, their pride wounded, their fears confirmed. Admiral Syraxis slammed his fist against the command rail. "Mute it! Cut the channel!" But the signal remained, unbroken. The vanguard was not broadcasting on one channel. It was everywhere at once. Even Imperial control systems could not block it. "Your empire believes strength is control," the human voice said. "But strength is not slavery. Strength is freedom. And freedom does not ask for permission. Bid thee." Words echoed like thunder. Every officer felt the weight behind them. This was not a boast, it was a declaration. Syraxis's pride burned, his face twisted with rage. "Enough! Trace them! Find them! I want their location now!" The scanners raced. Signals bounced across. Decoys, false echoes, and ghost signatures. But one thing was clear. The vanguard was close. Suddenly, the main view screen lit up. The human ship appeared out of the void. Dark, massive, glowing with red lines of energy. It had been waiting for them. The crew froze. Syraxis rose to his feet, voice shaking with fury. "You dare enter Imperial formation?" The human voice answered, calm as ever. "We are not here for war, but you will not order us again. You will not treat us as slaves or children. Those days are over," one officer whispered. "They speak as if they command us," another muttered. "What if they are right? What if they truly have more ships?" Syraxis heard them, and his rage deepened. His empire was built on obedience. Now, in front of him, doubt was spreading like poison. "Listen carefully," the human voice said. "We are not your enemies unless you make us so. We showed you mercy. Remember the asteroid. Remember your cruisers. If we wished, they would already be gone. We gave you time to think. Use it well." For the first time in centuries, an Imperial fleet stood in silence, unable to answer. Syraxis clenched his fists. His pride screamed to order and attack. His heart screamed to destroy the intruder before the seed of fear grew larger. But his officers' eyes betrayed him. They did not want to fight. They had already seen enough, and the human voice pressed deeper. If you fire, again we will not hold back. If you chase us, you will fail. If you force war, you will not win. Choose carefully, Admiral. The words cut him like a blade. Syraxis raised his chin, forcing his voice strong. You speak boldly for one ship. Silence followed. Then the human captain answered with a calm tone that chilled every soul in the room. Do you truly believe we built only one? The chamber went cold. Officers turned pale. For the first time, the idea felt real. The Vanguard might not be alone. There could be dozens, hundreds. A hidden fleet waiting in the dark. Syraxis could not show fear. He bared his teeth in a bitter smile. If you had a fleet, we would know, the human voice replied, sharp as a knife. If we wanted you to know, Admiral, you already would. The Vanguard's engines flared. The ship turned, moving back, into the void. No attack, no battle, no destruction. Just a message, and the fear it carried. The Imperial fleet held its ground, watching as the human warship vanished into the stars once more. The silence that followed was heavier than battle. In every Imperial ship, crews whispered among themselves, not about orders, not about victory. They whispered about humans, about hidden fleets, about a future where the Empire was no longer untouchable. Admiral Syraxis stood alone on his bridge. His pride told him the Empire must strike, must crush, must remind the galaxy of its power. But his heart, heavy and uncertain, whispered the truth. The humans had delivered a message, and the Empire would never be the same again. The political shockwave. The message of the Vanguard spread faster than any fleet could travel. Within days, every world in the Empire had heard the rumor. A human warship entered Imperial space. It disabled cruisers with a single strike. It escaped, untouched. The story grew with each telling. Some said the humans had a dozen ships. Others whispered of a hidden armada, waiting to strike. On frontier colonies, fear turned into hope. If humans could resist the Empire, maybe others could too. In the capital's Senate Hall, the storm of panic had already begun. Thousands of senators filled the chamber, their voices crashing like waves against the walls. They humiliated our fleet. This was no accident, this was a declaration. We must crush them before others rebel. No, if we fight them now, we may lose more than pride. We may lose everything. The Speaker of the Senate slammed his staff against the marble floor. Order! Order! The noise fell, but tension remained thick in the air. Admiral Syraxis stood, at the center, cloak heavy on his shoulders. He retold the event in hard, measured words, but every senator heard what he tried to hide. His cruisers had been powerless. His men had been silenced. His fleet had been spared only by choice, not by strength. Some senators scoffed, their voices sharp. Humans are insects. One ship does not change the galaxy. Others shouted in fear. One ship disabled 3 cruisers without killing anyone. That is control. That is power beyond anything we've seen. Whispers grew dangerous. If humans rise, what of the Varn Dominion? What if the insect races follow them? Even our own colonies may begin to question imperial rule. The Senate had not been this divided in centuries. The Empire's strength had always silenced doubt. But now, fear cracked the mask of unity. In hidden corners of the capital, intelligence ministers whispered with their agents. Reports poured in. Traders on the frontier swore they saw new human ships, larger, faster, stronger. Scouts claimed colonies were preparing hidden shipyards. Others insisted the humans had stolen technology from beyond the galaxy. No proof was clear. Yet the whispers alone were enough to shake confidence. The Emperor's envoy, the man with the silver mask, stepped into the chamber. His voice cut through the storm like cold steel. The Emperor listens. The Emperor knows. And the Emperor does not fear. The chamber went quiet. The human ship is dangerous, yes, but it is only a test. A single spark cannot burn an empire. The Emperor commands patience. We will watch. We will prepare. We will answer when the time is right. But senators were not satisfied. One rose, his face red with fury. Patience? While the galaxy laughs at us? Already colonies whisper rebellion. Already rivals smell weakness. Shall we wait until the humans march fleets into our core? Another senator stood, trembling. If the humans truly have more ships, war could destroy us all. We must seek peace. We must speak to them. The hall erupted again, voices clashing like blades, pride against fear, rage against caution. Beyond the Senate, the political shockwave rippled outward. On mining worlds, workers dared to speak openly against imperial taxes, inspired by the humans' defiance. On slave worlds, whispers of rebellion spread through the camps. Even among imperial soldiers, doubts grew. They had seen the recordings, heard the human captain's calm warning. For the first time, many asked themselves a forbidden question. What if the Empire is not invincible? In private, Syraxis met with the envoy. You saw it with your own eyes, the admiral said. That ship was no trick. If they have more, the Empire is in danger. The envoy's silver mask reflected the admiral's hard face. The Emperor does not act on fear. He acts on certainty. You will find proof of these hidden fleets. Until then, you will speak as if the Empire is unbroken. Syraxis clenched his fists. Pride still burned in him, but the seed of doubt had grown. Meanwhile, deep in the shadows of the Intelligence Bureau, a secret report was delivered to the highest level. The words were simple, but heavy. Multiple unregistered human warships detected at long-range scans. Intercept impossible. Their positions shift too quickly. Estimated number unknown. The report was sealed. Only a handful of eyes would ever see it. But its meaning was clear. The vanguard was not alone. The political shockwave spread further each day. Rival empires beyond the borders watched with interest. Some prepared fleets, eager to challenge a weakened empire. Others reached out quietly, toward human colonies, whispering offers of alliance. The galaxy was changing, and all of it began with one ship. In the Senate hall, the shouting had not stopped. Senators screamed for war, for peace, for revenge, for caution. Their words tangled into chaos. Above them, the Emperor's throne remained empty, silent, watching, because the Emperor already understood what his council did not. The humans had revealed only a fraction of their strength, and the real storm had not yet begun. The final twist. The galaxy held its breath. From the richest core worlds to the poorest mining colonies, every whisper was the same. Humans had a warship. Some believed it was only one, a lucky creation. Others feared it was only the beginning. The Empire's Senate shouted, the admirals argued, the colonies murmured, but none could deny it anymore. The balance of power had shifted, and then came the final report. Admiral Syraxis stood inside the strategy chamber of his flagship, Imperial Wrath. Around him, holographic stars glimmered, displaying the Empire's borders. His officers gathered in silence, their faces pale, their eyes nervous. The intelligence chief stepped forward with a sealed datapad. Admiral, long-range probes have returned. You must see this. The chamber dimmed as the recording played. The hologram, stars flickered. Then faint shapes emerged. At first they looked like shadows, but the scans grew sharper. Hulls appeared, engines glowed, warships, not one, not two. Dozens, each one carried the same dark armor, the same red glowing lines, larger than the vanguard, faster, stronger. The chamber froze in silence. Syraxis's voice cracked despite his iron pride. How many? The intelligence chief swallowed hard. We cannot confirm. The probes only caught fragments before being destroyed. But the estimate is... He hesitated, then forced the words out. Hundreds, Admiral. Perhaps more. The officers gasped. Some cursed under their breath. Others trembled. One young captain whispered, Impossible. Humans cannot build so many. But Syraxis knew the truth. He had seen the Vanguard's calm, the captain's voice, the precision of its mercy. Humans had not shown their full hand. The asteroid strike, the disabled cruisers, the broadcast message, it had all been a warning. Now the truth stood before them. Humans had been building in silence. Not weak, not desperate, patient, preparing. Across the galaxy, Imperial intelligence confirmed more reports. Human colonies that once begged for protection now showed strange activity. Hidden shipyards buried under ice, fleets vanishing into deep space, strange energy readings from asteroid belts. Every clue pointed to the same reality. The humans were never weak. They had been hiding. Syraxis stared at the hologram. His pride screamed to deny it, to call it lies, tricks, illusions. But his heart knew better. The voice of the human captain echoed in his memory. Do you truly believe we built only one? Far away, in the hidden throne chamber of the Emperor himself, the silver-masked envoy delivered the report. The Emperor, cloaked in shadows, listened without speaking. When the envoy finished, silence filled the chamber. Then, the Emperor's voice, soft but heavy, broke the silence. Prepare the Empire. The age of unquestioned rule is over. Meanwhile, the humans made their next move. Across dozens of systems, Imperial patrols reported glimpses of unregistered ships. They never attacked. They never destroyed. They only appeared, then vanished before pursuit, like wolves circling in the night, showing themselves only to remind the prey they were never safe. The psychological war had begun. On frontier colonies, slaves whispered of human fleets. Workers dreamed of rebellion. Even loyal Imperial officers began to wonder if perhaps the galaxy would soon belong to someone else. Whispers turned into fear. Fear turned into cracks. And cracks, in time, break empires. Admiral Syraxis stood alone, on his balcony, watching the stars. For the first time in his life, he admitted the truth to himself. The Empire is afraid. In the darkness beyond the borders, the Vanguard rejoined its fleet. Massive silhouettes surrounded it. Warships larger than anything the Empire had ever seen. Their hulls shimmered with strange technology. Their weapons glowed with restrained power. The human captain stood at his command deck, eyes fixed on the holographic map of the Empire. His voice was quiet, but his crew heard him clearly. They will not listen to warnings. Pride blinds them. Sooner or later, they will force our hand. A young officer asked softly, Captain, are we ready? The captain's eyes hardened. We have been ready for years. Back in the Senate, chaos ruled. Some demanded war, others begged for peace. But none of them knew the truth, that the human fleet was already moving, already watching, already planning. The Empire thought they still had time. They were wrong. The story of one unregistered warship had been enough to shake the galaxy, but now the humans were done hiding. The fleet of the free was rising, and for the first time in centuries the Empire felt what it had forced on others for so long. Not power, not control, but fear.